Hey guys, Over, and it's been a while since I've done some class guides. So many updates have occurred during the time span, and I think it's a good time for a new guide. This video will focus on Hunter for the version 2 with everything we have so far. So let's get right into it. Hunter is focused heavily on close range combat while being a bit tanky with a lot of HP and defense stats. This class has 3 weapons featured to the class itself, which is the sword, wired lances, and partisans. The swords have good AoE and charge damage. Some of the sword's Photon Arts are very stationary, but the rest of the kit for Hunter backs it up a lot to push the sword's damage even further. The swords have 4 PAs available to it. Spiral Edge, giving you a bit of vertical height while unleashing multiple vertical slashes. This has 2 variants. The uncharged version will do 2 quick slashes while rising, and when you charge this, you will do a ripping slash followed by another slash while rising. Twisting Zapper deals AoE damage as you fly horizontally. This also has 2 variants. Uncharged will do a couple horizontal slashes with slight movement, and when you fully charge this allows you to dish out more attacks at a faster pace and pushing you even further in distance, followed by a finishing slash. Caliber Streak is a very charge reliant Photon Art, but this has 3 chargeable chain attacks. The uncharged version allows you to do quick slashes in a combo. The charged version lets you dish out more damage if you charge all 3 versions. The huge downside to this one is that you are locked into position, so you cannot move while charging. So I would only advise using this PA on downed bosses instead. However, you can mix and match these caliber streaks. So you can do like an uncharged 1, charged 2, and then charged 3, or charged 1, uncharged 2, and charged 3, etc, etc. Next is Relentless Cleave, which is one of Sword's most powerful Photon Arts, and of course this also has 2 variations. The uncharged version allows you to do a quick downward smash, and charging this will extend the attack range and also dishing out a much bigger AoE damage. So if you're wondering about which combos you can do with the sword PAs, my recommendations, at least from my experience, is Relentless Cleave, both uncharged into charged, into Spiral Edge. This is usually my go-to combos whenever I play sword, and of course only use the Caliber Streak PA on downed enemies, since that they can't move and you're immobile when charging the Caliber Streak PA. And the Twisting Zapper PA is an all-rounder, meaning that you can use this for both bossing and farming PSC bursts. The Wired Lances is a heavy AoE weapon. It's a fantastic weapon for PSC bursting in combat zones, and it also has a very good gap closure. You can also push more damage the more distance you have between you and the enemy. And for Wired Lance's Photon Arts, they also have 4 as well. Starting with Cutting Layer, unleashing multiple slashes with enemies in front of you. Vein Mixture is an AoE Photon Art that attacks enemies around you. This is very good for farming PC bursts in combat zones. Turbulent Terrain is a series of vertical slashes, and you can actually move up or down depending on your directional input. Hellish Fall grabs enemies followed by a downward smash. You can also charge this to do a huge damage impact. However, the charge time for this is very long. But there are ways to avoid this, but it is on the risky side a little bit, and you can avoid the full charge by intentionally taking 2 hits from enemies to unleash the attack faster. So it's probably best to find enemies that does multiple series of attacks so you can counterattack faster instead of charging it with no interruptions. And this is also the only chargeable PA that Wired Lances have. And you also have the weapon action you can utilize as well, and this is perfect for mobbing as well, with guard frames and gap closures. The Partisans is a good weapon, but it has a slightly higher difficulty for weapon usage. And this is a very PP hungry weapon, but the mobility for this weapon is good as well. And of course, Partisans also have 4 PAs. Cleaving Scythe, which is chargeable, unleashes a quick slash on enemies. Charging this allows you to split open a rift, dealing damage to those in front of you with good damage. Thrusting Javelin, which is also chargeable, this lets you throw your partisan at the target. You can hold this to constantly stab enemies and throw the weapon after charging the weapon. Very good for down status enemies. Fatal Tornado, which is chargeable, unleashing an AoE attack hitting those around you, and charging this will add 2 extra slashes for bonus potency damage. The Triumphant Shift, however, is not chargeable. This is a very mobile attack that lets you gap close on enemies while gaining some height, but there are some risks which I will mention later on in the video. Now, compared to my previous guide, there are a lot of skills to cover. This one will be up to date with a version 2 title. The Hunter has a long list of skills. due to the fact that it covers all 3 weapons of the sword, wired lances, and the Partisans. But first, we'll start off with the basic ones. Warcry, which is an active skill that will aggro enemies on you temporarily, and is only effective as a main class. This lasts for 30 seconds after activation, also with the benefit of potency and damage reduction, but the cooldown for this skill is roughly 3 minutes. Hunter Physique is also an active skill which reduces incoming damage and prevents you from being knocked around like a pinball temporarily. The cooldown for this skill is the same as Warcry's time effect, lasts for 30 seconds but the cooldown is 3 minutes. This skill has 2 sub-skills that can benefit it. Hunter Physique Short Cycle greatly reduces the cooldown time from 3 minutes down to 30 seconds. The added cost of diminishing return is that instead of the effect lasting for 30 seconds normally, this reduces that down to 5 seconds. Next is the Hunter Physique Extra Shield. This is an amazing passive for the active skill. Basically what this does is, when your Hunter Physique active skill ends, a shield will now appear whenever you do any Photon Art. This shields you from being knocked around, and because of this shield can tank 3 hits total, which is great. So if you're stuck in an animation locked PA for example, and you popped Hunter Physique and now it's on cooldown, this saves you in times where you'll be able to perform the full Photon Art animation, or charging your attacks. And considering that the short cycle reducing it down to 5 seconds, the shields that apply will never expire until you take the 3 hits. And since the active skill cooldown is reduced down to 30 seconds, this is a game changer for hunters. This also benefits every other class Photon Arts as long as you set Hunter as a subclass utilizing this skill. Flash Guard reduces any damage you would have taken depending on how many points you put into this skill. This skill is very good if you set Hunter as a subclass and taking too much damage, and this helps reduce that by 75% as a main class and 85% as a subclass. Iron Will triggers when you take a deadly hit that would initially kill you. Instead of dying, Iron Will put you with 1 HP with a 10-second window of iframes, but the cooldown for this is 3 minutes before it can be triggered again. And this is only for main class, so this will not work as a subclass. The Omnidirectional Guard skill lets you guard in all directions. Without this skill, you will only be able to guard whatever is in front of your character. Slow Landing Charge reduces your fall speed whenever you charge your PAs with Hunter weapons. This is good for the swords and Partisans, along with the Wired Lance's Hellish Fall Photon Art. Sword Attack Extra lets you combo up to 5 normal attacks instead of 3 or 4 with swords. Wired Attack Extra and Partisan Attack Extra allows you to combo up to 4 normal attacks instead of 3 with the corresponding weapons. Same Art Skip Attack lets you skip to your 3rd normal attack string combo after performing the same Photon Art with any Hunter weapons. Another Art Skip Attack is the same thing, but the only change for this one is performing 2 different Photon Arts together following up with the normal attack, but this time it will go to the 4th normal attack. However, if the weapon doesn't have more than 4 attack strings, after performing 2 different PAs together, instead, your normal attacks is considered the final step of the combo string. Sword Guard Counter will automatically counter when guarding with Sword's weapon action, and Sword's Guard Counter Plus grants you the ability to follow up with a normal attack for extra counter damage. Sword Arts Overcharge increases your potency by 200% the longer you charge your Photon Arts. There will be a visual effect that will tell you when it is ready. Sword SC Alternation changes your sidestep counters with swords. Your sidestep counters are faster with the sword and the attack variation is now different. Wired Anchor Advance is related to your weapon actions. Grants you directional inputs with your Wired Lance's weapon action, allowing you to either pull yourself to enemies for gap closures, swing it around or right depending on the right input, and pull yourself back. Crossing Feather is a new active skill specifically for Wired Lances, where you charge this active skill by attacking enemies. When used, the potency with the active skill is at least 1500 potency, and the cooldown for it is 30 seconds. Wired Anchor Perfect Parry negates any incoming attacks when blocking with Wired Lance's weapon action. The Volgraptor is for Partisans, where you can shoot a little needle with a weapon action to mark an enemy. That mark will explode once you deal enough amount of damage to it, and the cooldown for this is 60 seconds. However, it can be shortened down with Volgraptor Short Cooldown, which will shorten the cooldown for Volgraptor by 15 seconds every time you block attacks with the weapon action. Now to the spicy stuff. The Hunter Arts Avenger is one of the important skills that a hunter must have. Most of the perks you can do is all related to this skill alone. This will trigger when you time your Photon Arts with enemy attacks. You will see a red glow on your character indicating that you have triggered Hunter Arts Avenger, and with it, you'll gain a bonus potency of 150% with that Photon Art, and the Arts Avenger can be triggered with every Hunter weapon. Hunter Arts Perfect Parry negates any attacks when you trigger the Hunter Arts Avenger passive with Photon Arts. And Hunter Arts Parry Advance grants more items when you perform perfect parries, aka timing your Photon Arts with enemy attacks. Hunter Arts Avenger PP gain grants 10 PP back after triggering the Avenger passive skill. Sword Arts Charge Avenger will trigger after you fully charge your Sword Photon Arts to its maximum state. When you take a hit, you will automatically unleash your attack with Hunter Arts Avenger applied to it for a bonus potency. Sword Attack Alternation changes your first attack string to a quick attack rush after triggering the Arts Avenger. The Wired Anchor Avenger boosts your Wired Lance Photon Art after triggering Hunter Arts Avenger by 150%. Wired Anchor Strike Back changes this, so instead, after you block an attack using Wired Lance's weapon action, any Photon Art you do with Wired Lances automatically will have Hunter Arts Avenger applied to it. Wired Avenger Range Collection increases the potency of your Photon Art with Hunter Arts Avenger depending on the distance between you and the enemy. Assault Charge is your Partisan's weapon action. After performing any Partisan Photon Art, you can press the weapon action to do two things: to quick rush and close the gap between you and the enemy, or charge it for damage. Assault Charge Avenger boosts the potency on the Assault Charge by 150% after triggering the Arts Avenger with Partisan Photon Arts. Partisan Parry Alternate Assault increases your Assault Charge damage by 250% after negating attacks with your weapon action. Last but not least, the Partisan Quick Assault has multiple ways to trigger. It can trigger through a sidestep counter, using the Assault Charge, and or performing the Photon Blast. You will get a purple shine in which you can do a follow-up attack with the weapon action to close in on enemies. This costs PP, so be careful if you decide to perform the quick assaults with this. Now, add-on skills can also play an important role in some cases. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because some of these add-on skills can prove pretty useful. One being with Hunter, since they are a melee potency focused class, and their add-on skill gives bonus melee potency. And by far this is probably one of the best ones for Hunter, including two sub-skills you can aim for, which is HP and PA Charge Movement Speed Up. The charge movement speed is very good since a lot of Hunter's PAs gives you the option of charging PAs, giving you more mobility and all that good stuff. Fighter is good for crit potency, and if you plan on building the Ver.2 with Hunter, you can ignore the other classes' add-on skills that provide crit chances. For the sub-effects, generally you want to try to get as much HP as much as possible, along with extra sub-effects like Photon Blast Potency Up, Offensive PP Recovery Up, Natural PP Recovery Up, etc. Damage Resistance is a good one, so you get the idea. If you decide to roll on the add-on skills, choose the cheapest cost possible. I believe it's like 5k per roll or something like that, and aim for at least like level 15 or higher. To me, 15 would be the sweet spot for everything. Now, ideally, Hunter is very reliant on Hunter's Arts Avenger, with some skills able to automatically trigger by charging PAs fully, timing Photon Arts with enemy attacks, storing Avenger Arts within Photon Arts with weapon actions, all that stuff. Not to mention, every time you trigger an Avenger Arts, you'll always gain 10 PP back and an extra 150% potency to whatever Photon Art you perform with any weapon. You can also combine the Avenger Arts with the extra shield from Hunter's Physique active skill, which also makes it a lot harder for Hunters to die with all the resources it has to sustain damage. Not to mention the extended iframes you can get with the perfect parry skills. The Partisans can be a little rough at some times on when you want to use the quick assault weapon action or the assault charge, because that consumes PP. They are pretty mobile, and being able to apply Volcraptor more often is nice. Before it was terrible, but now it's not that bad. The Partisans can also benefit from the skip arts as well compared to before. The fourth normal attack for Partisans is a finisher move, and it also has iframes, so it's perfect for chaining two different PAs together with normal attack as a follow-up. The Triumphant Shift PA for Partisans does not have any window to protect yourself with Avenger Arts, let alone not being chargeable. So this is where you need to be careful when using this, because there's a decent chance you'll still proc Avenger Arts, but still take damage. But yeah, only use it if you want to gain some height and gap close on enemies. As for Wired Lances, the more you attack with the edge of your attack range, the more damage you will do. And as for the Hellish Fall Photon Art, When you intentionally take 2 hits while charging it, it will automatically trigger the Avenger Arts due to you taking the hit the second time. So since that Photon Art can do more damage while fully charged, add the 150% to that from Avenger Arts and it's GG. And don't forget about the active skill that wire lances have, the Crossing Feather active skill. The potency on that is very good. Basically, you want to use it as soon as it becomes available, and the cooldown of it is only 30 seconds, giving you more than enough time to charge it up and have it ready to be used again. For Partisan's quick charge, you're better off using this after triggering Avenger Arts since you'll gain 10 PP back, and the quick charge uses PP also, so I would not recommend abusing this, otherwise you'll run out of PP in no time. The quick charge does cover vertical height, so it does make things easier for you to reach airborne enemies. And if you plan on using Hunter as a subclass, I would recommend trying out using Hunter's Physique active skill due to the extra shield. In some scenarios, this is great for firing your lasers as launchers, any Photon Art that can be charged up, stuff like that. That shield will come in handy in clutch if you're in a sticky situation where you can't react fast enough or something. Plus that shield will never expire until you take 3 hits. And last but not least, make sure to bring a habit of constantly using the Arts Avenger because that's where Hunter's damage will shine. All of Hunter's kit relies on that. But yeah, that's about all I can cover for Hunter, the Photon Arts, the skill tree, how to utilize Hunters, advanced tips, and I think that's it. But with that, I hope this helps if you're going to try out Hunter or if you're already playing it and looking for an up-to-date guide. So yeah, if this did help, I would appreciate a like and sub to the channel for more PSO2 content. I'm working on more up-to-date class guides, so look forward to those. And as always, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.